This is part 2 of Access Module 3, SAM End of Module Project 2, or EOM Project 2. And we're picking up with step 5, create a one-to-many relationship between the family table and the patients table. Family ID is the matching field, or what we call the common field between the two tables. Make the relationship enforce referential integrity, which you should have read about in your reading, and then save the relationship. Okay, so what we want to do is go to Database Tools, and we want to select the family table and then the patients table. So we go to Database Tools, Relationships, we get the family table and then the patients table. I think I got them both. And then we'll close this. Just resize it so you can see all the field names. Now, what you want to do, and you can move these things around a little bit if you want to, just to kind of help line them out or give yourself a little more space. Just don't drag them way across creation. Makes it harder for a person to see it or find it if they had to grade it. So just make sure you have enough room between the two. Now what you're looking at is, or looking for, is family ID in both of these two different tables. The one that has the key next to it will be the primary table or the parent table. So family ID, you're going to click on it and drag, hold the mouse button down, you're going to get a little band symbol, but then you want to make sure that the mouse pointer is pointing on family ID, not that it's accidentally pointing above in gender. When you do this, you're going to get an Edit Relationships dialog box. And here's what they were talking about, the family being the common field. First side of the table relationship, this is a one-to-many, so a family could have many patients that come from that one family. But a patient only belongs to one and only one family. At least that's the acceptable assumption that they're making in this case. Now, the other thing we want to do is enforce referential integrity. And what that does is it keeps you from entering a patient that doesn't belong to a family. Even if you're an individual, you would still have a family name, so a family entry with address and all that kind of information, and then you would have your patient information. So you gotta belong to a family in this particular scenario. So we're going to make sure that we don't have what we would call orphan records. We'd have somebody who's a patient, but we don't know all their other detailed information from their family entry in the family table. Once we've check marked that, we'll click on the Create button, and you'll see a line. 1 is next to the family, and then down here at the bottom you see a infinity symbol. That's the many symbol in Access. So it's showing you a one-to-many relationship. And then you'll want to save this, and if you hadn't saved it, if you just closed it, it would have asked you to save it if you wanted to. So I've saved it, and now I've closed it. Okay, now I've lost everything on the bottom here. Let me pause for just a second and see what happened. Okay, sorry about that. I had to shrink my database window down again so everything would show like it's supposed to. Alright, step 6 says open the Healthcare Services table in Design View and make the service code field the primary key for that table. Then ensure that any letters entered in the service code field should display in uppercase, and then we just save the changes to the table. So Health Services in Design View. Right click on it and you can choose Design View, the second option. Now, right now you don't have anything that's designated as a primary key, so you want service code. Make sure it's selected and then click on primary key in the tools, and you'll see that it now has that. Now, for the second part of this, I will have to expand this out to a full window again for the Access window so that I can show you what we are looking at. Okay? So what we want to do is make sure service code field always displays with an uppercase letter. So let's maximize that. I'm sorry, that thing keeps popping into play. Okay, now here we go. So you see the size down here. What you want to do is in the format, and even though there's a pull down list there, there's not going to be anything there. You're going to type a greater than symbol, and what that means is that anything that's typed in this service code that has a letter in it, it will be changed to all caps even if you typed a lowercase. Okay? Now, how did I know what that was? Good question. I looked through the book trying to figure out, did they have that in a sidebar somewhere, and I was looking. I finally just typed, tell me what I wanted to look for, and I finally did find all the listings of different things, the different codes you could put there for formats. There are some standard formats depending upon what data type you have and so forth, but I couldn't find in the textbook where it told you use the greater than symbol there. So what we're going to do is we're going to save these changes, and then we're going to go ahead and take a look at it. Okay, so I'm going to type in H99, and I'm going to type the H in lowercase. When I tab over, you see how it capitalized the H? H99 now has a capital H there. I also want to get rid of this record, so now I'm going to right click on it and choose to delete that record. That was just for testing purposes, just to show you that that's actually working for you. So we'll save that and we'll close out that particular table. And then it's going to make me hunt down what I'm looking for here. Okay. Alright, step 7 says using an update query, update the field values in the state min income field in the income levels table to 16,780 for all records where the value in the county field is Twin Falls. And then we'll save it, the query with the name they provided, and run and view it. Now, let's go take a look and see how many records are going to be affected, okay? So before we actually do this, let's open up the income levels table just to look. And we're going to look at the Twin Falls. So if I wanted to do a filter and I only wanted to find Twin Falls, what I could do is deselect them all, go down to Twin Falls and say OK. And so I see now I'm going to have 4 records that are going to be affected. Okay. Now I need to remove that filter. See the little funnel? So I'm going to go there and I'm just going to say select all now, and that'll put them all back into play. But that way I could filter out just what I wanted to see. So now I'm prepared to know how many records are going to be affected. So I'm going to close the table. Yeah, I want to save my changes for right now. And let's go back to the instructions and let's follow our instructions. Okay, using an update query in the income levels table. So let's go create, query design, income levels, add it, resize it after we close the show table box. Now let's take a look at this a little closer. Update the field values in the state min field, state min income field. So I want to add state income field first. And then let me go back again, and it says where the county field is, so I need to add the county field too. Now, we want to do this with an update. So we're going to click on the update, and remember 16,780. And we're going to do a, see, make sure I've got it clicked. There we go. Update to. We're going to type inside of the update to box under state minimum income 16,780. And then in the criteria box we want Twin Falls. Now let me pull up the instructions just to make sure I got that number right. 16,780. That's correct. And we're going to save this as update state min income in the abbreviation that they're using. So when we click on that to save it, update state min inc, and then we can run it. You're about to update 4 rows. Remember we said we had 4? So let's say yes. We know we're going to do that. We can close out the query. Now let's go take a look at income levels and look for the twin falls. It's got 16,780. The next twin falls, there's 2 of them together, 16,780. And then there's another one down here. So everything worked like it was supposed to. So we can close out that particular table. Now, let's take a look at, it says open the income levels table in design view, add a calculated field named income difference to the end of the table, and the field will be the result of subtracting state minimum income from income. Okay, so open income levels in design view. And it then says that I want to select or create, excuse me, a calculated field named income difference. Inc difference. And I'm going to tab over, and I want this to be a calculated field. Now we have our little expression builder, and let me get my instructions up here, make sure we know what we're doing here. Okay, income difference, subtract state min income from income. So income minus state min income. So here we go. We're going to choose income minus state min income. And notice how it puts the square brackets around it for us. And we're going to say OK. And you'll see how it's put that in our field properties for the calculated field. And now we can go back to data sheet view, and it says I need to save my table. Well, yeah, that's true. Let's make sure we save it then. So I think it went ahead and saved it for us. And we are looking for then the last column that we created. So here's the income difference, and you take $43,500 and you subtract the $17,264, and you should get $26,236. So that should work. I'm just going to save it again, and I'm going to close the table. Notice we're doing these things to tables, not just necessarily building all kinds of queries, though we are building some specialty queries.